be perfect. That's all. Jesus didn't say try to be perfect. He said be perfect. He never told us to try to obey any of his commandments. He never said try to love your enemies. He said love your enemies. You see, if we were to rely on our own ability, we would just as well give up right now. But the requirements of the New Testament are all based on the grace of God, which is made available to us through Jesus Christ. And I've said many times, and I'll say again, grace begins where human ability ends. When we can do it in our own strength or our own wisdom or our own righteousness, we don't need God's grace. But when we've come to the end of the best we can do, we've come to the beginning of God's grace. And God says, my grace is sufficient. Do you believe that? Do you really believe his grace is sufficient, that it will enable us to do anything he's told us to do? That immediately lifts us out of the level of our own ability. He's not talking about what we can do without God. He's talking about something that's possible only through the supernatural enabling of God. As long as you can do it, why should God give you his grace? But God deliberately confronts us with many things we cannot do in order that we may open up to his grace. And that really the church is usually left with two alternatives. Either we do the right thing and open up to the grace of God, or we reduce the level of God's requirements down to something we can do by our own efforts. But that is dishonest. It's misrepresenting God.